Hey guys, welcome back to Rock SEO. In today's video we will have a look at the costs of living in Istria in 2025. In this breakdown we will touch on accommodation costs, grocery and food prices, internet, mobile utilities, transportation costs, fun and leisure, healthcare and insurance, travel and getting around, and expat and digital nomad lifestyle living here, in order to give you quite a detailed overview on a realistic budget of what you can expect by living here. So let's get started. Istria is one of the most beautiful and livable regions of Croatia, offering a mix of stunning coastline, rolling green hills and historic towns. It attracts a mix of locals, expats and digital nomads looking for a relaxed Mediterranean lifestyle with modern conveniences. When it comes to cost of living, Istria is more affordable than most of Western Europe, but prices have been rising quite a lot, especially in popular coastal towns. Roving and Porridge tend to be the most expensive places to live, while Pula is more budget-friendly. If you move inland to towns like Pazin or Labin, costs dropped significantly. And also let me add that finding a house to rent in Porridge or Rovin is extremely difficult as well. It's not impossible, but difficult. We were very lucky to find a place where they were willing to rent us long term, but that will be a challenge, especially if you want to find something where you can stay for the longer term. The overall cost of living also depends on your lifestyle. If you like eating out fancy food every day, it will cost more, obviously, and then you have to also finding it, because it could be a challenge here in the winter. Renting a long-term apartment is also much cheaper than obviously staying a short-term rental, but as I said earlier, it's not easy finding a long-term rental. Finally, you can also eat at the local konobas instead of the touristy restaurants. It will save you a lot, though again in the winter might not be open, all of it. And if you shop at the local markets instead of big supermarkets, you can also get fresh produce at better prices. Especially if you know someone, or if you know the guy, the farmer bringing you fresh tomatoes. That's amazing actually, but it's not easy to have those connections. In this guide, I will break down the key expenses of living in Istria in 2025, covering housing, groceries, utilities, transportation and entertainment. Whether you're planning to move here, already live here, or are just curious, this will give you a clearer picture of what to expect. So let's get on. Understanding accommodation costs is essential when considering a move to Istria, as they vary based on location, property type and market trends. Coastal towns like Roving and Porridge are highly sought after, leading to higher rental prices. For instance, a two-bedroom apartment in Roving averages around 800 to 1000 per month, while in Porridge, similar apartments range from 750 to 950 per month. In contrast, Pula offers more affordable options with two-bedroom apartments averaging 600 to 800 per month. Inland towns, such as Pazin and Labin, provide even more budget-friendly rentals with prices generally ranging from 500 to 700 per month. Buying property. The demand for properties in coastal towns has led to higher prices per square meter. In Rovin, which is the more high-profile one, apartments average to 2,500 to 3,000 per square meters, while houses are around 2,200 to 2,700 per square meter. Porridge also experiences elevated prices, with apartments at 2,300 to 2,800 per square meter and houses as 2,000 to 2,500 per square meter. Conversely, Pula offers more competitor rates, by the way, beautiful blue beaches as well there, with apartments averaging 1,800 to 2,200 per square meter and houses as at 1,600 to 2,000 per square meter. Inland areas like Labin, as we mentioned earlier, present even more affordable options, with apartments at 1,500 to 1,800 per square meter and houses at 1,300 to 1,600 per square meter. As you can imagine, the more you go inland, the cheaper it is. The more sought after areas are the coastal ones, and after that the Zagreb area comes into play. Next section, utilities and hidden costs. When budgeting for accommodation, like just anywhere else, it's crucial to account for utilities and potential hidden costs. Monthly utilities include electricity, water, heating, garbage collection, and your internet costs as well. And they can vary based on property size and usage. Okay, internet will not vary on that one. On average, these costs range from 100 to 200 per month, and I was researching on this data. I think I can quite agree on that. It will depend how much you use the heating, obviously how much electricity you use, and as much as you go crazy with the aircon in the summer, things like that. Grocery shopping in Croatia can be a bit of an adventure. For us living in Istria, it's been a mixed experience. There are several big supermarket chains to choose from, including Konzum, Lidl, Plodin, Spar, and Studenak. Prices vary quite a bit between them, so it's always worth comparing. We've done a direct comparison for you guys between three stores, Konzum and Kaufland here in Croatia in Rovinj, and Eurospar in Trieste, Italy. We priced out a standard basket of essentials, things like apples, milk, bread, pasta, olive oil, etc., and a few other everyday essentials, and the results were quite stunning and revealing. At Konzum, the total came to 117.78 euro. At Kaufland, which is sort of affiliated with Germany, which tends to be a bit more budget friendly, it was 95.63 euros. And at Eurospar in Trieste, drumroll please, where the quality is actually higher, the same basket came out to just 83.17 euros, so lower. Now, to be fair, travel time and fuel costs to Trieste do add up. On average, we estimate that you can spend around 25-30 euros round trip, so it's not nothing because you have highway plus gas. But if you enjoy spending some time in Trieste, maybe grabbing a coffee, doing a bit of shopping, or just going around a little bit, can be worth the trip. We do it weekly, and this can be a bit of a faff, yes, but that's what we do. And for us, the better food and lower prices make it worthwhile. You can download the full price comparison chart to fill it in yourself. It will be interesting also to do on your own, this one. We've linked it down below in the comments, and there will be down below in the video description, so feel free to download that one. When it comes to local specialties, Croatia and especially Istria is known for some real food gems as well, like olive oil, truffles, wild asparagus and artisanal cheeses. These are amazing, but do expect to pay a premium, especially if you're buying from specialty shops or visiting during the tourist season, so they price them as a, again, premium product, not like a everyday staple like would be olive oil in Italy, for instance. Eating out, for that, there are plenty of traditional restaurants here in Istria serving classic Croatian food. It's often hearty and meat heavy, so be prepared for that. You definitely have vegan and vegetarian options, so a bit on the lower side, smaller side. That said, there's definitely also a growing variety of cuisine popping up, so also an opportunity for those interested in more international, modern offerings. Pizza, for example, just to say one, Italian, of course, I like my pizza, is done really well in a lot of places in Istria. One of our favorites is in Sveti Lovrec, and it's called Pizzeria Gostiona San Lorenzo by Gabriele and his son, so I will link it down below. It's a local shop that serves genuinely great pizza and traditional dishes without the tourist markup too much. Seafood can also be excellent, especially along the coast, and let's not forget coffee. You can find really high quality of coffee, espresso here. The prices ranging between 120 to 250 depending on where you go. So off to the next section now. When it comes to internet and mobile providers in Istria, our experience has been a bit mixed, but over time I've come to understand how things work here. Setting up a fiber connection, especially if you're running a business or working from home, can be a bit tricky, considering when you don't have the cables in the street and stuff. You might need to escalate a few times to get things moving and go at the top, if you can. That said, I wanted to give a special shout out to the former CEO of Hrvatski Telekom, I hope I say that right, Kostas Nebis, and particularly the current team Laura and also Patrick from the sales team. They've been super helpful in the past, and considering that getting in touch with the right person is not always straightforward, sometimes emails to technical support can take a really long time. But once you're in, technical support has been none than excellent. Their investigations are thorough, their explanations are very detailed, and they've been genuinely helpful, especially compared to what you might expect in other countries. So if you're running into issues, my advice is to go through the sales team if you can, if you have a business especially, it's on that side. And they tend to be more responsive and can help move things along faster. We've also tried looking into other providers, but in our area, Telecom was the only one with the infrastructure, so even if you used A1, it will still go on Telecom's infrastructure, and Telemac was not available. So in other parts of Istria must be different, could be different, and especially in other regions of Croatia. And in Zagreb you have all the three providers available, so you can test those out as well. Expect to pay around 50 euro a month for a high-speed fiber optic 1 gig connection. It's actually good value for the quality you get, in my opinion. On the mobile side, we haven't found any standout local deals yet compared to other countries, so they can be quite competitive in the local market, but for internationals, I didn't find any great contract there, so I will not say much around. Let's talk about Expat and digital nomad life here in Istria. There are several co-working spaces and remote-friendly cafes that operate during the tourist season, but one thing to keep in mind is that many of them shut down or reduce their hours in the winter, simply due to lower demand. So if you're planning to live and work here year-round, you'll want to do a bit of research first. Otherwise, you might find yourself needing to base in larger cities like Zagreb or Pula, where things are a bit more consistent throughout the year. Now, when it comes to banking and money transfers, Croatia is part of the Eurozone, so things are generally smooth in that regard. And they've also had some interesting upgrade. For example, Wise, TransferWise is now available here, used not to be. So you have a business banking, you can use TransferWise for your business needs. However, here's a tip. If you're withdrawing money using a foreign bank card, be careful. Even though it's a euro to euro, some ATMs will still charge a commission even in 2025. Sometimes as high as 5 or even 10 euros per withdrawal. We found out that HPB, the Croatian Post Bank and Posta branches tend to be the safest options, no commission, in our experience when withdrawing with your foreign card. That said, always check the screen before confirming your withdrawal, because some ATMs, especially those small mobile ones in the touristy areas, will add extra fees without warning. Compared to countries like Italy and Slovenia, where you can withdraw from pretty much any ATM, as long as a bank one, without hidden charges, Croatia can be a bit trickier on this front. And one more thing, if you're running a business account, expect standard banking fees for incoming and outgoing payments. That's pretty normal here, though it's always worth comparing bank options if you plan to set up officially in the country. So to wrap things up, let's talk about what it actually costs to live in Istria in 2025. Based on everything we've discussed, here's a simple breakdown for monthly accommodation budgets. If you're on a basic budget, expect to spend around 300 to 400 per month. This will likely get you a small apartment inland or in a less touristy area. For a comfortable setup, somewhere in the 700 to 900 euro range, you can find a well-located apartment in a coastal town like Pula or even smaller place like Rovinj or Poreč. And for a luxury living, anything above 1000 euro per month would get you a spacious flat, maybe with sea views, or a well-renovated home in a central area. That is, if you manage to find one early, because availability can be tight, especially in peak season. Might go even at 2000. As for the overall cost of living, whether you're a single person or a couple or a family, it really depends on how you manage things. Groceries, for instance, are a huge area where you can save, especially if you do your research. We go to Trieste every week, which is not feasible for everyone, but even if you do a larger shop in Italy every couple of weeks, you're likely to save some money and get better quality food. So, is Istria still affordable in 2025? I think it is, especially if you're coming from Western Europe. You'll notice a drop in rent and fixed costs for things like electricity and internet somehow, mostly the electricity and bills really. But for consumer goods, electronics, car parts or even office gear, you might end up paying more than what you would in other EU countries. That's why many people living near the border will simply order from Italy or Slovenia and pick things up there if it's possible. Yeah, it's a bit of a faff, but it works, and it's one of the perks of living in this part of Europe, where multiple borders are just a short drive away. You can be clever about where you get your services and supplies. Once you understand how the system works and optimize your lifestyle a bit, living in Istria can be absolutely affordable and pretty enjoyable as well.